Sometimes society cannot come to the beaten track of development, cannot go beyond the usual fading path. The head is giddy with new temptations of the time, and the people fall into doubt. Way out of this confusion can only be shown by bright and gifted people of the nation, unique and exceptional persons. Nursultan Nazarbayev. Since ancient times, the Great Steppe has been a deep source and a sunny blue dome of ancestors of Turks and all Turkic peoples. Living in the vast expanse where long roads made wild horses erase hooves and the eagles wore wings, our heroic ancestors did not sit during daytime and were awake at night. Hungry people were saturated, making poor rich and small people converted to large, keeping its unity and consent. Drawing eyes on four sides of the world, riding wild horses with short crest, menacing pagans and majestic nomads dreamed of establishing eternal kingdom. This main dream carried through their fiery life. They bequeathed posterity and their covenants recorded forever on the rocks. Creating a mighty empire, became masters of the vast Eurasian expanse from the Lake Baikal to the Balkans. The Turks left a noticeable mark on the history of humanity. They formed the civilization of the Great Steppe. Through the Great Silk Road which linked east and west, the Turkic world has become a fundamental route of world trade and intermediary world diplomacy. The Great Steppe, on the giant swing of history, experienced a time of great prosperity when the larks weaved their nests on the backs of the sheep, in troubled times when the camels were without luggage. Bowing their heads and bending their knees, the Turks lost their freedom and fell into dependence on others because of inner strife and quarrels between brothers. Bowed by the irony of fate, they lost their burning hearts and fertile land. Inscriptions on the sacred stone read, "Wayward ancestors realized that happiness is not in wealth, but in the freedom that is lost due to the weakness of the people's unity." There is a notion that history is made by the personalities, and if we turn attention back to past centuries, we can see what changes in the course of history have been made by outstanding personalities. According to the legends, when we start with Attila, we plunge into a fairy tale. In the glorious annals of the people, there were many heroes who passed lands and waters and overcame many obstacles in search of a happy fortune of their people. Overcoming difficulties in critical moments, they were deciding the great issues. They became a shield for their people and a model of admiration for the world, and forever remain in the grateful memory of posterity. Such great rulers and commanders of the Turks as Attila, Buman, Alparslan, Baybaris, Amir Timur, Fatih Sultan Babur had a tremendous influence in shaping the world map. Holy Turkic Steppe was famed not only by heroic fighters, but also became the home of prominent scientists. Lived in different eras of Al-Farabi, Mahmud of Kashgar, Balasaguni, Al-Harazmi, Ibn Sina, Yasoui, Udbik, made an invaluable contribution to the development of world civilization. Studies of geniuses of the steppe became the basis and gave rise to the Renaissance in Europe.
Türk dünyasına, Türk ellerinin arasına pasyonerler çıkıp atat.
Nursultan Nazarbayev could be called a passionary coming from the Turkic world, from Turkic countries. Because we cannot imagine Kazakhstan's fate without Nursultan Nazarbayev. It was he who introduced the world to Kazakhstan.
Naqta Kazakhstan'dı büt dünyaya bilgisken düngüretken.
Now the whole world knows and recognizes Nazarbayev.
Mına azırkıda dürküre besip atkanın bilbegen sayasatçı yok. Men jakında Turkiyada bolgondo Türklerдің президенті менен жолугуп, премьер-министри менен жолугуп, өзгөчө.
Recently I met and talked with Turkish President and Prime Minister, and they both have great respect for Nazarbayev.
Biz uşu adamdın kımbattığın, değerin, bu kişinin ideyaların telekka karşı bir top sayasatçılar.
Deep ideas of the President Nazarbayev, politicians will understand in 20 to 30 years, and the ideas of the leader regarding unity of the Turkic world contain deep thoughts on preservation of Central Asia and development of Europe. It is no coincidence that we call Nursultan Nazarbayev the author of Turkic unity.
Lev Gumelov, who honestly researched history of the Turks in heavy totalitarian period and made a new jet in science, said that during the collapse of the Soviet Empire in Eurasia, a passionary explosion will begin. It is in this difficult and challenging period in all parts of Eurasia, controversy, which have ended by hostile ethnic struggles. Therefore, some experts predicted Kazakhstan's dangerous future with its commodity economy, the lack of ethnic homogeneity, with the complex demographic situations, with unclear borders and little experience of statehood. Most predicted Kazakhstan will become the new hotbed of ethnic clashes.
Turkic peoples are located as a whole in the vast territories of Eurasia. But what happened after the collapse of the USSR, the Soviet Union, which, as it were for all of us, for our generation, was largely unexpected, and what was formed, the Turkic world, that it newly formed sovereign states, and among them, of course, thanks to Kazakhstan and its leader, the first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev. I must say, for a story in such a short period of time, Kazakhstan spoke of itself primarily due to this deliberate policy of the President of Kazakhstan. In international affairs, he quickly gained recognition, representing a young state. Perhaps of all the countries that formed after the collapse of the USSR, Kazakhstan continues to grow and takes its place in the international community and strengthens it.
The hero is revealed to the people in this difficult hour. In troubled times of change, Nursultan Nazarbayev has taken the reins in his hands and led the way for independence. Tattered golden threads of centuries were restored and glorious traditions of the people were revived. The foundations of the state were firmly laid. Under radiant Kazakhstan sky, a blue banner with a soaring golden eagle started to flutter. Nations cheered and established unity. Decreed by the fate, scattered compatriots began to return to the motherland. The leader proclaimed the unity of the people, intimated all, wherever they may be. They have a homeland which will support, and tribesmen are ready to take their warmth. Abandoning devastating weapons, making an enormous contribution to the preservation of peace and strengthening security in the world, the Kazakh government has become an island of stability and harmony. The words Nazarbayev and Kazakhstan turned into a single concept that carries a creative start. Offer the people of the world keys to understanding and agreement, instead of a clash of civilizations.
Bildiğiniz gibi 1992 yılında o zamanki Türkiye Cumhurbaşkanı rahmetli Turgut Özal'ın
As you know, in 1992, by initiative of Turgut Özal, the Turkic countries began to gather in one community.
Memnuniyetle ifade etmek isterim ki 2009 yılında Nahçıvan'da
Joyful event was that in 2009, in Nakhchivan, friendships and unity were fixed between the countries of the Turkic world. International treaty was signed on the establishment of the Turkic Council.
Türk Konseyi anlaşmasını imzaladık. Şüphesiz ki Sayın Nazarbayev
Highly respected Nursultan Nazarbayev has certainly done a great job. On the boundless steppes, he has built a new city of Astana. In his every visit, I see how Astana is growing and turning into a beautiful city. You can be proud of it and admire it.
Nasıl gurur duyulacak bir şehir haline geldiğini hep görürüm.
Kazakhstan has become a recognized state, attracted the attention not only of Asia, but the whole world. Like all Kazakhs, we are also proud of it. Nazarbayev stays at the state of all these affairs and initiatives, who built the foundation of development of an independent state. He has laid a decent way for future development.
Gerçekleştirmiş ve ülkesinin geleceğinin rotasını da çizmiştir.
And I believe that it will bring much more beneficial aid to his country. I wish him good health, happiness, and success. I also express my feelings of love and respect for all Kazakh people.
Kazak kardeşlerime sevgi ve saygılarımı, hürmetlerimi sunuyorum.
The monument dedicated to Kultigin reads, "Only sitting in the fire space Atakun, sacred for all Turks, you will save your people." Al-Farabi wrote about a smart city of intellectuals. Hasan Kaiger, astride his swift camel, was in search of the promised land, Zhurig, fairyland. Astana is consonant with the concepts of the threshold, spiritual hoard. It really turned into a happy, blessed city where reigns the spirit of kindness, justice, and mercy. Astana host meetings of leaders of world religions, state leaders, and cultural figures. Sprang from the ashes, heritage of Kultigin revived the spirit of the Turks over the city. With its skyscraping Bayterik, again awakened the dream of once carved in stone, eternal country. On the vast territory from Altai to Atura, between the steppes of Saryarka and climbed peaks, Alatau, creative spirit gave impetus to a new flourishing of the great steppe. Astana, which became a personal stamp of the leader, gave new splash to Turkic civilization and deserved recognition of one of the first cultural centers of the Turkic world. In one of the most beautiful corners of Astana, on the bank of the Ishim, is a monument to the first president of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The monument is dedicated to a great personality of the founder of the new state, like a sign of kinship with the brotherly Turkish people, common in the roots, with a common history, language, and close-by blood. When the empire collapsed and the threat of extinction of a single state, Ataturk saved his people, posing young, strong state on the crossroads between Asia and Europe. The nation's leader thought about the fate of all Turks, dreamed about the collapse of the Soviet Union to reconnect and unite with fraternal peoples. After all, he was the son of the deep roots of the great steppe, and now the dream of Ataturk embodied in reality. Having laid the foundation of the young state, having built a new capital, the first president of Kazakhstan joined again, dangling kernel thread of Turkic peoples. Close relations of Kazakhstan and the Turkish state get stronger with each passing day, increasing trade and economic relations and community in the cultural sphere. Ethnically similar countries have equal strategic partners, having brought together Altai with Anatolia Nursultan Nazarbayev, has become a recognized personality among kindred peoples in distant roots.
Nazarbayev büyük bir adamdır. Büyük bir devlet adamıdır. Ve yerine kimse konamaz. Atatürk bir başka devlet adamıdır.
Nazarbayev is a great personality, mature statesman. No one can compare with him. Ataturk was also a great personality of the state. He holds a special place in history. Ataturk and Nazarbayev, these statements are bright stars of the Turkic world. These are our favorite personalities. These incomparable personalities came not only from their people, but from a huge community of Turkic world. In the year of the formation of the Turkish state, Ankara was chosen as a capital instead of Istanbul. Behind this fact underlie historical geographical reasons. While created and rising to his feet, Kazakh state Almaty remained the main city for some years. Later appeared Astana. Construction of the new capital was also reasonable. As a result, Turkic world now boasts beautiful Astana. Fortress of the leader for 20 years has grown into one of the most beautiful cities in Asia. I believe that it will become one of the finest cities in the world.
Birisi olmuştur. Sanıyorum ki dünyanın övüneceği şehirlerden biri olacaktır.
As a sign of deep recognition, in 2011 in the Central Park in Ankara was a monument to the first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev. At the same time in Turkey, streets were named in honor of Nazarbayev. It shows the historical relationship between Ataturk and Nazarbayev in a difficult period when the foundations of the national states were laid. They put all their strength and will to strengthen the independence and unity of their peoples.
Tabii Kazakistan özellikle Türk Cumhuriyetleri arasında gerek büyüklüğü itibariyle gerek şu anda nüfusu
Kazakhstan and the Turkish state is going ahead by their territory, the authority and the rapid development of their peoples. It is well known that they are at the forefront and in economic development. Thanks to the wise and far-sighted policies pursued in the years of independence, the state authoritative leader and his vast experience, Kazakhstan, in competition with other states, is always in the first places. In this regard, I congratulate the distinguished President Nursultan Nazarbayev. Nazarbayev became the motor of development of an open world politics. For example, based on our deep ties in the sphere of education and culture, Kazakhstan has about 30 Turkish schools. In addition, there is our university. They certainly strengthen and reinforce our ties. And in the fields of culture, economy, and industry are developing our close relationship and fellowship. This was especially evident in the construction of Astana, characterized by active involvement of Turkish businessmen. And in this good work and great contribution to the authoritative work of the leader Nursultan Nazarbayev. The fact that Astana occupies a special place in Kazakhstan is undoubted. Now it is home to over 700,000 people. Exultation in the Kazakh steppe of remarkable new city, which can serve as a model around the world, is a great example, causing envy and admiration. When we go there in official trips, I see how Astana is transformed and becomes more beautiful every day. Now, on the bank of the Ishim, Astana represents a kind of equivalent of wealth. Colorful city actually represents abundance. All this is a clear reflection of the tireless and selfless work of the distinguished leader.
Bu da tabii dünyadaki markaları Astana'ya çekmiş oldu. Bütün bunlar tabii örnek girişimler, örnek yatırımlar.
According to the verses of the fiery poet Magjan Jumabayev, when having taken a share of the inheritance, the Turks have passed to different sides of the world. The dome of generic yurta remained with Kazakhs. Kazakhstan is the golden cradle of all ancestors of the Turks, their sacred home. Therefore, Nursultan Nazarbayev from the first steps of independence, has been paying special attention to the unity of the Turkic world. In September 1991, Kazakhstan's president Nursultan Nazarbayev gave a decisive rebuff to the famous August Putsch. Then he made his first official visit to Turkey, his first foreign visit. Nursultan Nazarbayev not accidentally started with the Turkish land. It was a historical choice of the founder of the young state. Our leader constantly draws attention and attaches great importance to the strengthening of friendly relations with neighboring brotherly countries. That he belongs to the initiative of the Commonwealth countries of Central Asia. To this end, a historic meeting was organized with leaders of the Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, where Nursultan Nazarbayev took the first steps in strengthening the community. Herewith, paramount importance was attached to concord and understanding. New breath got Silk Road, the former linking chain of Eurasia, thereby raised the value of Central Asia, located at the crossroad of the 9 roads.
I propose to create a union of Central Asian states. We have common economic interests, cultural and historical roots, language, religion, environmental issues, the external threat. We need to move to closer economic integration, to move towards a common market and a common currency. Only in this way will we be worthy of our common great ancestors who always had seen us together.
Through this historic address, the community of related Turkic peoples was raised to new heights. The president of Kazakhstan, from the outset, emphasized the revival of the historical kinship roots of Turkic peoples, rapprochement of education and the arts, literature, and culture. To this end, in 1992, in the city of Turkestan, an international Kazakh-Turkish university was established, named in honor of spiritual leader of all Turks, Khoja Ahmed Yasui. And in 1993, on the initiative of President Nursultan Nazarbayev, was born International Organization Turksoy, acquainting the world with great works of the Turks, promoting their culture and art, reviving holidays such as Nowruz, and other national values. The organization in a short period has won recognition as UNESCO of the Turkic world. Commonwealth in the field of culture has grown in scientific communication. Opening in 2010 in Astana on the initiative of the head of state Turkic Academy was a visionary decision enhancing the leading role of Kazakhstan in the Turkic world.
We open the Turkic Academy, another dome that brings under its arches highly educated, knowledgeable, and inquisitive people, bearing the advanced thought of the Turkic world. Through this, we will realize the dreams of our great ancestors who lived in the vast lands from the Altai and to the Black Sea and fulfill their will. It is our common sacred filial duty.
In the same 2010, during a meeting in Turkestan, Turkish President Abdullah Gül put on the shoulders of the head of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, white kaftan, put into the hands of the rod, and proclaimed him the head of the Turkic world. And in 2012, in Ankara, Prime Minister of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, gave this assessment to Nazarbayev.
Ve şu anda tabii Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı adeta Türk dünyasının bir aksakalı durumundadır.
Currently, our leader is considered a respected man of Turkic world, thanks to the wise and prudent policies pursued by esteemed Nursultan Nazarbayev. Kazakhstan today has turned into aspiring to the world community as a reliable partner, related by language, history, and culture of Kazakhstan, along with the consolidation of independence for 20 years, has shown political stability, has had some success in economic development.
Siyasi istikrarını güçlendirdi ve hızlı bir ekonomik kalkınma gerçekleştirdi. Bugün
Today, in the vast steppes of Central Asia, the construction of new bridges and channels open new settlements and social facilities, and it's all done for the benefit of the people.
kuruluyor ve yeni sosyal tesisler hizmete açılıyor.
It sounded not only as an estimate of the head of the Turkish state, but as a fair recognition of the merits of our president by Turkish brothers and all the Turkic world.
Sayın Nazarbayev'in en önemli yine siyasi başarılarından birisi,
One of the most important political achievements of esteemed Nazarbayev is the direction of the whole power of the state on the path of development. One important step was the elimination of nuclear weapons, and in this respect, he is a model for state leaders. Ridding the country of nuclear weapons required a strong will and vision, and he put all his efforts to achieve it. For this, I always think of Nazarbayev as most experienced, the most far-sighted politician and statesman.
Türk dünyasının ve bugün aramızda en tecrübeli.
He did a lot for the Turkic world. His name is associated with a number of today's achievements of the Turkic world and the establishment of organizations and institutions. That's why I called him the leader of the Turkic world. These words come from the heart. Particularly, dear Nazarbayev, today really is an outstanding personality of the Turkic world, and he is worthy of such an assessment, both by age and experience, and its contribution to the strengthening of the unity of the Turkic world.
Kendisini biliyorsunuz. Bunu da gerçekten gayet samimi olarak yaptım. Sayın Nursultan Nazarbayev bugün Türk dünyasının gerçekten aksakaldır. Gerek yaşı olarak, gerek tecrübesi olarak, gerek de şüphesiz ki tabii ki hizmetleri olarak bu böyledir.
Mustafa Shokai, who was fighting for independence and integrity of Turkestan, wrote, "We have great strength. This strength is not only in words. We need to move onto the action in the name of unity. Therefore, in order to identify the correct action, not to go to the side issues, we should meet once a year." Today, when the fiery goals of Alash Turkic movement statesmen were achieved, since 1992, leaders of Turkic states regularly hold their meetings to discuss key issues and challenges of the Turkic world. It is also a statement of Nazarbayev's leading role in the Turkic world. Having initiated these meetings and crucial questions raised therein, the President of Kazakhstan in 2006, on a regular meeting in Antalya, raised the issue of the establishment of the Council of Turkic Statesmen. And on the 8th Summit of Turkic-speaking countries in Istanbul, Kazakhstan's President Nursultan Nazarbayev proposed the idea of creating a Turkic Parliamentary Assembly, which should contribute to the achievement of unity of Turkic states and accelerate migration. Unity is the main holy testament left by our ancestors. In Nakhchivan, in October 2009, 9 Summit of the Heads of Turkic countries, very important historical step was made to unite kindred peoples and strengthen their community. The agreement of the formation of the Turkic Council was signed by the President of Kazakhstan, Presidents of Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Kyrgyzstan. It was a huge breakthrough in the history of the Turks. Turkic Council of Heads of State Summits was held in 2011 in Almaty, in 2012 in Bishkek, 2013 Gabala in Azerbaijan. In all these summits, Turkic Council Yelbasi raised important questions.
Нурсултан Абишевич, его опыт, его мудрость способствовали тому, что
Nursultan Nazarbayev, his experience, his wisdom contributed to the unification process in our area in a very positive way. We welcome these processes, and I think that such a politician as Nursultan Nazarbayev is doing a lot for the unification of the Turkic world.
для объединения тюркского мира. естественное стремление
Natural desire of our peoples to independence, to initiative, to address issues that require solutions in our countries. Along with this union around the positive factors, I believe that it is a historical necessity. Because once again, I want to say that I am deeply convinced that together we are a very large force. Turkic world is consolidated. This force is not regional but global.
очень большая сила. Тюркский мир – это сила не регионального, а мирового масштаба.
We need to be together, and then we will order a major factor in world politics which cannot be ignored.
Политики, которые невозможно будет игнорировать.
Love to the nations of the world. Understanding and harmony were lessons from personalities like Yasui, Yunus Amre, Fazuli, Navoy, Maktumkuli, Abai, bequeathed in their creations to look at all of humanity as brothers. Taking this heritage and honoring him, the Turkic world in the 21st century moved on to new horizons. Together with the leader, stepped forward in great community. Important milestones on the road of the caravan became established at the initiative Elbasi Turkic Academy in Astana, Turksoy in Ankara, Turkpay in Baku, Turkic Council in Istanbul.
Nazarbayev, Türk Keneşi'nin ortak bayrağını geçen Kasım ayında burada çekti. Aynı zamanda binamızın da.
November last year, Nazarbayev raised the flag of Turkic Council in Istanbul. On the same day, spent discovering our building. This has its own meaning and reason. The fact is that since the beginning of the constant participant of summits was only one leader, Nazarbayev. Therefore, our leader, together with Turkish President Abdullah Gül, raised the flag. It was very important. After all, this flag had a color of the Kazakhstan flag. It is the color of ancient Turks. There is one of particular importance that the flag was raised by the leader. We hold summits on various issues, and the majority of proposed themes offers Nursultan Nazarbayev. At last, in 2013, the last summit discussion topic, tourism, harmony and cooperation, was also proposed by Nazarbayev.
Aşağı yukarı Nazarbayev'in teklifi üzerine bina ettik. Turizm işbirliği.
Turkic world is a big civilization, the center of culture, science, and knowledge in the Great Steppe. It is the source of events leading up, turning in world history. And Turkic Council in Istanbul entrusted Nursultan Nazarbayev honor to raise the sky blue flag of the Turkic world. So let this flag fluttering in the centuries. Hearts of Turkic people have been waiting for this moment for centuries.